Aaron Rodgers led Green Bay to his first victory ever then. Lamar Jackson, meanwhile, back in action as the Ravens host the Browns. Last year's MVP threw for over 300 yards and 5 touchdowns in the opener last year. And in the AFC East, the Dolphins will head to Foxborough to face the Patriots. Cam Newton becoming the 5th quarterback to make his first start for New England under Bill Belichick. The last 4 each won their first start. And so let's put together some more of our squad this morning. Diana Rossini is here, and I will start with you. There has been such glowing conversation coming out of there. Cam loves Bill, and Bill loves Cam. Sometimes that makes one a little bit suspicious. Diana, what are you hearing out of Foxborough 2 days before this actually begins?
Yeah, it reminds me the first week I brought my fiance home to my parents. I was overselling so much to try to make up for some of the weak areas, which they now figured out. It's very odd that Bill Belichick is doing something we never saw him do in 20 years in New England, which is tell all of us pretty much how great Cam Newton is. But I translate it as this. I think he's just trying to make Cam Newton comfortable. There is so much change. But in terms of what we can expect, I think in terms of any offense, the unexpected is what we can expect. We've never seen this. They are going to take full advantage of Cam Newton's ability to run his skill set and mix that directly with the creativity of Josh Daniels' offense. What they're doing in New England, from what I hear, is smart. They're not going with, hey, let's just set this offense to work in the advantage of Cam Newton, or let's just do what Josh McDaniels can do. They are mixing this perfectly, and hopefully we'll see some of that progress out on the field on Sunday.
Okay, and so obviously, Rob Ninkovich, you played in New England for years. You were a captain in New England. What have you read from the way Bill has been so effusive in his praise? What should we be taking away from that, and what do you expect to happen on Sunday?
Look, we all know Bill Belichick is the best coach of all, one of the greatest of all times. He's the best coach in the NFL right now. So one of those jobs as a coach, you have to figure out what and how do I get the best out of my players. Certain players, they need to be, held accountable a certain way. Others need to be lifted up in another way. So, for me, I think that this whole situation with the Cam and all the praise, it's to boost Cam's confidence up, to get him. He's in a new place. He's on a new team. Coming into week 1, you want him flying high with his teammates and everyone coming together. So, I feel like Bill does a great job understanding what gets a player in the perfect mindset to go out there and execute and to play at a high level. So for Cam, look, I think it's raising him up, boosting him up, getting his confidence high. Other players like myself, for example, it's, bringing me down a little bit, maybe insult me a little bit, tell me I'm not very good. And then I go out there and I perform, right? So that's just the way coaching is. If you're a great coach like Bill, you know how to motivate guys, you know how to get them out there. And sometimes if you critique somebody, they go the other way. They don't perform well. So for me, I think that is the case. And I look forward to watching what Cam can do this season.
Bart, I'm going to ask you as simply as I can. Is this going to be a success, Cam Newton in New England?
I think it's going to be a success. I definitely believe so. I mean, when you think about this chapter has always been in the playbook. They just haven't been able to utilize it because of the skill set of Tom Brady. They've used it with Jacoby Brissett. I think they've been waiting to modernize this offense. But I'm just laughing at the fact that, Bill seems to me like a broken-hearted man that lost his girlfriend, and he's trying to say, hey, Tom, listen, look at my new boyfriend that I have, and look at all the things that he can do that you couldn't do. I think one thing that Cam Newton's going to allow this team to make teams do is play 11 on 11. And right now, listen, the Patriots got him for cheap, so they don't care. He's a rental car. You got a rental car. You can smoke cigarettes in, you throw the butts down, you have your McDonald's, your rappers. Who cares? Because guess what? They can run him to death, and they don't have to pay him next year. So let's see how much Bill loves him when it comes time to cut the check for $40+ million next year. Right now, Cam is a rental car. They're trying to use him up and run all the tread off them tires because at the end of the day, they get to turn it back into Hurts.
Okay, I like it. Very quick, note to self, do not lend my car to Bart Scott under any circumstances. Okay, much more from the NFL as we go, but let's get up and go around a ridiculously busy day in sports yesterday. College football, the Miami Hurricanes opened up their season with a 31-14 win over UAB. De'Ara King threw for and ran for a touchdown in his Hurricanes debut. They will open ACC play next week.
Today we saw, sloppy defense. And I know Bart's going to say, look, with the Kansas City offense, you can't, go heavy. You can't bring an extra guy. But at the end of the day, you got to be able to stop the run with your front seven. You got to be able to stop the run with the defensive line and your linebackers. If you bring in an eighth guy, it really doesn't matter. He's a safety. He's usually a small guy anyway. So when I'm watching this game last night, I am watching a defense that doesn't know how to stop the run. And how do you stop the run? You get out there every single day in practice. You do 9-on-7. You do half line. You do all the things that they have limited now with the preseason not being there, with the rules and regulations of how you can hit and all those different things. That is going to come out in these live action games. We are seeing it. And I think in the first few weeks of the season, all these games, fantasy people are going to be going nuts because their running backs are going to be making a ton of points.
Bart, is sitting 6 feet from me and is definitively shaking his head. Why do you disagree?
I mean, because Ryan understands, right? He understands when you go against these sub packages and you're on the second level, you have to pick your poison. And we always used to say, listen, if Brady is handing it off, he's not throwing it. And what happens is when you decide to drop that eighth man in the box, now you have one-on-one with Tyreek Hill, and you have one-on-one with Travis Kelce. You know, it's like dying a slow death. You're hoping that maybe you get a holding penalty. You're hoping that maybe somebody has a procedure penalty where you put them behind the sticks and then they have to be into typical, predictable type of positions as far as throwing the ball. It had nothing to do with that, I believe. I think because the Kansas City Chiefs has no problem making tackles. What happened is they spread you out so deep that you have a body for a body because you're in a sub package and you have two deep safeties, and they just got beat up because they couldn't afford to drop the eighth man in the box or the dime or the extra safety inside of the box because of the personnel.
It's possible that both are true also, and the reality is that Kansas City offense is going to be trouble for everybody all year long. We'll talk much more about this. Again, we'll get Mark Sanchez into the conversation as well. But of course, as we saw at the very beginning of the highlight, the two teams held a moment of unity at midfield before the game began, where some of the nearly 17,000 fans who were in attendance could clearly be heard booing. Here was some of what the players had to say about that after the game.
I honestly didn't hear a lot of booing. So I've seen a little bit of the videos after, and I'm just we wanted to show unity, and we wanted to show we were going to come together and keep fighting the good fight, and I hope our fans will support us like they do on the game every single day.
We talked all until really last night, and we, kept it up front, and he told us what they were going to do. I told him what we wanted to do, and we got on the same page.
The moment of unity, I personally thought was good. I mean, the booing was unfortunate during that moment. I don't fully understand that. There was no flag involved. There was nothing involved with that besides two teams coming together to show unity.
All right, so RC, what was your reaction to all of it, to all of the things that we saw take place before the game last night?
Well, I know there was a lot of discussion about what each team was going to do. I talked to some of the players, and they discussed those things together as well. The Kansas City Chiefs decided to be on the field for the playing of the anthems, and the Houston Texans decided to go a different route and stay in their locker room. I thought that the moment of unity was something that could have been, should have been, and could have been expected. And those teams came together to show that, it's not about division. It's not about which color works. It's not about black or white. It's about being on the side of right. And you can't be on the side of right if you're separated. And so I thought that the two captains of each team, the two highest players in the NFL, decided to make a stand, decided to have a demonstration that showed that the NFL is behind the fight for social justice, but also show that the players are not just going to go out and play football without keeping this as a priority and without making sure that this is on the forefront of everyone's mind while they play this game. And so for me, I thought it was good. There's going to be boos, Greeny. There's going to be people that disagree. There's going to be the shut up and play crowd. There's going to be the this is football, keep politics out of it crowd. But I think the one thing that these players understand, especially the black players, and I do believe their teammates understand, is when they leave that stadium, Patrick Mahomes is still black. When Deshaun Watson leaves that stadium, he is still black. And all the green in the world that they have in their bank accounts cannot let them escape that. And so when they have to deal with these things off the field, when their families have to deal with these things off the field, and when they want to be voices for these things off the field, they don't get to take time off from that. So I thought it was great that these teams decided to do this, that the NFL allowed them to do this, and that the coaches were on board as well. This is a step in the right direction. The boos will continue, but I believe eventually there'll be more cheers.
Bart, what did you think of it all?
Well, I thought that, you think about the NFL or you think about sports and athletics, this has always been part of the platform, whether you want to go back to, Llewellyn Cinder and Jim Brown and what they tried to do. And we're still fighting for the same things that they were fighting for back then. I think, how can you boo unity? I mean, you have players coming together wanting equality for all. I think that's something that we all should get behind. Nobody ever has an issue when the NFL comes united for cancer, which they're going to wear pink in October.